Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. We've got a lot of them, so let's rip through them. Starting off with you, Frank. I'd like to ask you all, especially Frank, why you guys kept saying this whole time Neymar has been playing the best football. Last time he played best football was in Barcelona. Also Mbappe, please stop talking about him so much. He's clearly not in a level to win.
Well, I never said anything about Neymar in that way. I think he was exceptional in Barcelona, and I'm still waiting for the Neymar from Barcelona to be nice to him. And I didn't see it tonight. I didn't see it the last 2 seasons because he was injured, and the last part of the season in Champions League especially. Now, you cannot talk about Mbappe like that. Mbappe is an alien of football. I mean, he can do fantastic stuff. Tonight, he was, let's say, clumsy, but also unlucky. Maybe a little bit tired, I don't know. But he's normally very effective. So I wouldn't be that harsh on Mbappe because he was more involved in the game and also in the defensive game of Paris Saint-Germain tonight. So we have to be nice with Kylian.
Someday, listen, let's get to the crunch here. Somebody at our place has to filter these stupid tweets better, because that's up there with 100% stupidity, right? I'm not even going to give that. I'm not really going to give that any airtime here.
Did UEFA change the rules for the finals? No penalties and no VAR. We of course discussed this on the show, Ali. They seem to be in a bit of a rush.
Yeah, and the surprising part is that you don't give the referee an actual opportunity to, at the very least, take his time and say, okay, hold on a second. Maybe I didn't see it at full speed, but maybe if only there was a system by which you could possibly take a look back at the sequence and at a speed that you can appreciate and actually make an informed call. We have the system in place and somehow we don't use it, or at least in my estimation, we don't implement it correctly, and we just kind of move on. And for me, I would have given all 3 of them penalties. Maybe you can argue the one about Kingsley Coman. The other 2, I don't think there's any doubt that those were penalties. But somehow we just kind of play on, move on, nothing to see here.
Was Tony Pulis in charge of PSG tonight, Craig? Terrible tactics for the money they have spent.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because, you know, they were, as I said on the show, they're the ones that sort of blinked first in terms of, and we talked about it in the week. Would they try and track back and play a little bit deeper? Well, sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't. But they were more on the back foot than on the front foot, and that is something I'm sure. And the Parisian newspapers, when they're looking at and analysing the game, maybe some of the harshest critics in France will be asking that question. I don't know. I didn't think it was an awful display, but it certainly wasn't the swashbuckling kind of thing that I think the owners would be looking for. By saying, well, you know, we've spent $1 gazillion on all these players, and we didn't see any electricity. And I think from a Paris Saint-Germain point of view, that would be slightly disappointing.
Ali was...
Dan, you know how I know? You know how I know that Tony Pulis was not coaching this team? No long throw.
No, there was no long throw.
Dan, if I can interfere in that matter,
you can
because
interfere,
I want to talk about
like.
Thiago. Thank you very much. I want to talk about Thiago Silva. I'm not sure that Tuchel asked Thiago Silva and the defense overall to play a little bit deeper tonight. But remember the remontada in Barcelona with Thiago Silva, where Emery was asking Thiago Silva to play upper on the field, and Thiago Silva didn't want. So I want to know if Tuchel decided to play deeper, and maybe a journalist will ask the question tonight, or if Thiago Silva would decide to play his own defense a little bit deeper tonight.
Ali was bringing on Choupo-Moting instead of Icardi, the only mistake Tuchel made.
Well, no, I don't know that that's a mistake per se. Choupo-Moting scored an important goal for you leading up to this final. And it feels like Icardi has been out of the equation for a while now. So I don't know that he was ever in the mix to come into this match. And I don't mind bringing in Choupo-Moting. But by then, PSG had lost any sort of creativity and explosive movement or any sort of impact from the really big name players in this team.
Frank, do PSG require a rebuild, a new coach, or just a big birthday party?
That's a question that Craig will love to answer to. Well, they will have a big birthday party because if Neymar stays, you know, for sure you will have one at least next season. I don't know if Tuchel is going to stay. Tuchel is the first coach who brought Paris Saint-Germain to a Champions League final. Well, we never saw Paris Saint-Germain spending so much money in 50 years. Today was their 50th years anniversary of the existence of the club. So I don't know if they're going to change. We see some names. I think we'll have some answers beginning from tomorrow. But I can surely answer for the big birthday party, at least one.
Frank, it's interesting. It reminds me of England making it through to the semi-finals of the World Cup. We discussed that in the sense that who did they actually beat to get there? However, history, I suppose, will just remember they made it to the semis. Is this going to be similar with PSG, that we'll forget it was only Atalanta and Leipzig and Dortmund that saw them get through to their first ever final?
Yeah, I'd say it will be, of course, in consideration that maybe they had let's say, an easy way to the final, but still, you know, I mean, those clubs that they've been confronted to Paris Saint-Germain, they had a fantastic adventure in the Champions League, and they weren't there, you know, like randomly. This is because they had performances, and Paris Saint-Germain dealt very well with them. I mean, it's sometimes harsh to say, yeah, Atlanta is not is an average team. Red Bull Leipzig is an average team. I mean, we saw many big clubs saying, yeah, the average team, but they lost. Lyon is an average team, and they beat Manchester City 3-1. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be taken in consideration, but I don't know if it's going to save Mr. Tuchel.
Thiago was immense, Craig, and Boston midfield today. Why would Bayern not want to keep him?
I'm not totally up to speed on this story. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong if any of our colleagues have brought it up, but I think it's the player rather than the club, is it not?
He's got 1 year left, isn't it? 1 year left. Bayern are reluctant to give him a new contract, hence other clubs, Liverpool, for example.
Yeah, well, I think it could be coming down to the finances as well, you know, and I don't know what he's asking for. But clearly, if you're a manager, you want to keep a player who's played in one of your most successful seasons and played well. But it comes down to other issues, you know, length of contracts and money involved. And clearly, there's been a lot of talk about him going to Liverpool. That's been a club that's mentioned. But, you know, he's a super little player. And I'm sure in an ideal world, Bayern do want to keep him. But it might not just come down to the club want him to stay, it's down to what the player wants as well.
Yeah, I've just been told I was talking nonsense and he wants out and it's not the club, so good.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, I kind of, I would have been surprised if the club was saying, oh, you played great for us, but we don't want you and you're at the prime of your career. But for some reason, and I don't know what it is, he seems to want to change the scenery. But maybe this successful season will change his mind over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see.
What usually happens, Frank, to all the wine, champagne and celebration items from the losing team? I suppose, were you on a losing team in a final, Frank?
I'm sorry, but never.
Never?
And 9 cups and I won all of them. So, and what can I say? Now, I lost the first French Cup and we celebrated because we were a small club and it was already a surprise.
Right.
When you are PSG and you lost like they lost today, I think nothing much happened. You know, you take the champagne out of the fridge and you put them back to the cellar and you wait for another time. I think it happened to the French team. You know, in '93 when they thought they will qualify against Bulgaria in the last game in Parc des Princes, and they put the champagne. And when Bulgaria scored the last goal in the 93rd minute, one of the guy working for the national team went straight to the dressing room and put the bottle of champagne out before the team came in. So that was pretty awful.
Craig, I imagine.
Listen,
go on.
Yeah, no, I know what you're going to say. I might be preempting you here, but are you going to suggest we drink it anyway?
Well, yeah, that was also my suggestion. And also, when you lost the FA Cup final, I can't imagine you had T-shirts made up or anything like that.
Wait, listen. The Paris Saint-Germain players want to go and enjoy themselves and realise they got to a Champions League final. As Frank said, that's the first. Because, you know, poor performances and chances get missed, and other teams sometimes are better. And there's no point, you know, shutting yourself in a dark room for a month and trying to get yourself over it. It happens. It's a game. It's football. You're going to win and lose. But we were saying back in the 90s in the United Kingdom, certainly in the football fraternity, it was win or lose on the booze, right? And that was the bottom line. Whether we won or not, we went out and we quickly got over it. So I would like to think Paris Saint-Germain, whilst been disappointed, will go away and have a bloody good drink.
But what about those that would say that's disrespecting the fans, Craig? That you
Couldn't
shouldn't be
give a
out
stuff.
partying?
Couldn't give a stuff.
The next question is for you, Craig. Did you hear the commentators' riveting conversation how they should reinstate the Ballon d'Or for Lewandowski?
No, I heard some. I just heard Ballon d'Or.
Right, and that was
I didn't hear the conversation about reinstating the competition. I don't know why they cancelled the competition. I don't know why they cancelled the Ballon d'Or anyway. Clearly, Lewandowski would have won it, but I'm sure he's over that already.
I'm happy.
Because we don't have to talk about it, Frank.
As Craig said, I don't give a stuff.
Here we are talking about it.
I think we've got a special week build-up to our ESPN FC presentation of the Ballon d'Or this week.
Oh yes, listen, our website will do some mocked-up Ballon d'Or thing, and they'll probably somebody will send out an email asking us to vote, and I will repeat what I repeated about 30 seconds ago. Get stuffed.
Final question for Ali. Which team can compete with Bayern and Liverpool next season?
The same ones that competed this year, and probably Manchester City would be one that would be an obvious choice. PSG, I don't see them going away anytime soon. Barcelona's in a rebuild, so I don't think so. Possibly Real Madrid. But that's about it. The list is short. It's not a whole bunch of teams that are just gonna somehow compete for this title. And assuming this is a big assumption that we're in a different world a year from now, and we've been able to somehow accommodate this pandemic and COVID-19, and we've taken a step forward, it's going to be far more difficult to make a run into the finals if you go back to the two-leg affairs and having to play well in 2 games in a row and the away goal rule and all those things that come into play in Champions League. So this was a chance for a smaller team to make a run because it was a tournament style in one-off sort of games. And I think next year becomes a lot more difficult if indeed things change to what used to be normal, not the new normal.
Good stuff, guys. Nice one. Thank you very much. Thank you, as always, for your tweets. We'll be back tomorrow for more.
Apart from the first one.
Apart from the first one, yes. People maybe we've already forgotten the first one.
Well, anybody that puts a tweet on our screen that suggests Mbappe's not a good player needs to get the hell out of here.
Oh, what's a World Cup? What's a World Cup winner's medal to you? Yeah. That's it. Frank's got his fireworks
Frank's light's
out.
gone.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Time to go. Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.